May I invite Dr. Tanvi? Then she is the consultant in the Department of Cataract and Refractive Surgery at Lakshmi Eye Institute, and she has done her fellowship at Netradhama Hospital, and a wonderful surgeon. And apart from her refractive surgery excellence, she also is a good baker and mother. So that's another talent she has. So over to you, Dr. Tanvi. She's going to talk about the dry eyes.
Thank you, Dr. Bindu. Thank you to AIOS. And I think we have a wonderful group here. Just if you could tell me if you can see the screen.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about dry eye and the problems related to that while assessing patients for cataract and refractive surgery and how we can deal with them. So a dry topic indeed, but please bear with me. The Tear Film and Ocular Surface Society has defined dry eye as a multifactorial disease. We know that the pathway has, ultimately leads to a hyperosmolarity and then ocular surface damage. And of late, we have been talking a lot about dry eye. As a clinician, I am encountering many more dry eyes patients than I was before. And let's see why. So a study which was done by Stapleton and Tear Film Ocular Surface Society in 2017 found that the prevalence of dry eye was more common in Asians. It increases with age, as we know, and it was seen to be 3 times more common than diabetes. And in their study, they found that dry eye existed in 31% of patients. So I think the real reason for this increase in cases is that we are actually looking for it now. Our clinical protocols do include tests which can pick up even a subtle dry eye. But why do we need to look at dry? We were fine for so long. What's the big deal? So, what has changed is the mindset of the patient as well as the surgeon. Technology has advanced so much that we're now chasing the 2020 line. We have the sky to offer to the patient, and the cost of surgeries have increased, and so have the expectations. So, this warrants a need for us clinicians to be very thorough, to be overcautious, to look for dry eye, and take sometimes even preventive measures to avoid it. Now, dry eye affects the lacrimal tear film, and let's see what really happens. A normal tear film thickness ranges from 6 to 20 microns. This contributes to around 43 diopters. Now, if the tear film thickness decreases and if it reduces uniformly, then the change in the power of surface is minimal. But if this happens irregularly, then the change can be as high as 1.3 diopters. And also, along with it, it brings a lot of higher order aberrations. A single blink normally causes a variability of just zero point 0.1 diopter, but an unstable tear film could make it almost up to 1 diopter. Now that's a big problem, right? And an irregular tear film we know causes a light scatter because of the higher order aberration, ultimately degrading the visual quality. This is the impact of tear film which we may miss. Now, an easy way in the OPD to just see this is to put a fluorescein drop in the eye. If you look at the scan, you know that this tear film is unstable, it is irregular. This is going to give us an inconsistent reading. It will affect the refraction. It will cause a higher risk of postoperative dry eye. It will slow the healing, and all of which leading to a poor quality vision and an unhappy patient. So imagine if you are planning for an advanced refractive surgery like Contura on a patient where the core of planning are the topolizer scans. And if the scans are variable or incorrect, we will have a refractive surprise. So we'll have a patient blaming us when it was really his dry eye, which was dry eye to begin with. We know it causes dry eye, causes multiple issues. It affects the patient's satisfaction. It impedes a good measurement. And that is the core of our management, right? So it's a garbage in, garbage out situation. Let's look at some examples how dry eye affects our measurements. Now, this is the topography scan of the same eye, but showing two separate cylindrical errors as well as different axes taken few days apart. Now, in such eyes, it is a good idea to go back and look at the raw data just to see if the quality of Myers is good or not. In this case, you can see on the left, it shows irregular Myers. There is a sign of dry eye. There is a dry spot there. But what's to note is that both these images will give us some reading. So if we haven't gone back and looked at the raw data, we don't really know whether it was a good quality scan or not. And we may choose the wrong scan. We have a lot of tests for dry eye today, and we've added an ocular surface analyzer as well as the ASOCT in our practice. We have seen that ASOCT is a good tool to study the epithelium because it has piqued our interest, since that's the layer which primarily is getting affected in dry eye. This also test, being a non-invasive one, also gives us a good measure of the tear film without actually disturbing it. Now, these are three examples of patients starting from the left to right, from a no dry eye situation to severe dry eye. Here you can see that there is some epithelial irregularity with thickening in some areas and thinning in some. And even in patients on the left with no ocular symptoms, the epithelium still showed some changes. And this can affect our data collection. So we need to look for it. I'll be discussing two cases to just show how dry eye affects our planning. This was a 60-year-old female who came for cataract opinion. She had a history of dry eye, but had minimal symptoms and was on occasional lubricants. Now, since she was to undergo cataract surgery, her lens star was done as well as a Varion. Now, both showed a high cylindrical error in her left eye. It is always a good idea to look at the raw data to make sure of the quality of scan, like I said. So we did have a look, and as you can see, the LED reflections are not precise. Some of them are more dark and lighter than the others. Now her topography was done. This showed a cylinder of 0.9 diopter in her right eye and this is a tangential map of the right eye, and a 0.2 diopter in the left eye, and both show a very irregular astigmatism. So now we know that all the three machines are showing different magnitudes of axis of the astigmatism. On clinical examination, she showed signs of dry eye, and the ocular surface analyzer confirmed the same, showing a picture of a mixed dry eye. And to our shock, this was her epithelial map. Severely thinned out epithelium showing an irregular pattern. Now, this gave rise to an irregular topography, resulting in an irregular astigmatism. This is also just to show that in the left eye, not only was she had come for cataract, right? Her left eye did have enough cataract, but also the cornea is showing a very poor image quality. So even though we may correct her cataract, she may still have poor vision because of her cornea. Now, we had a previous scan of hers from 2 years back, and we compared that. The cylinder had changed from 0.5 diopters to almost 2.5. Now, this change was due to her dry eye and the ocular surface damage. Now, if this was missed clinically, or if a topography was not done, then the toric IOL would have been implanted simply based on her lens star reading, and that would surely have landed us in a refractive surprise. Then let's go to the last case, which is a refractive case, a 27-year-old boy, moderate myope, who had come to me to undergo Contura. He had no symptoms of dry eye, and on examination, his Schirmer's surely was low. But when I looked back at his refraction, his right eye would sometimes correct up to 6 parts or sometimes 6/9. So this was suggestive of a fluctuating vision. Now, this was his anterior segment epithelial map showing severe epithelial thickening in the central 5 millimeter zone in his right eye. And then when I went ahead and repeated his refraction, sometimes he was accepting cylinders even up to 1.5 diopters just to see 6/6, which he didn't need at all before. His ocular surface analyzer showed a mixed type of dry eye. So his topography, which was done on the first visit, was fairly all right. It didn't show any stark red flags. His topolizer scans, which I did for the Contura, were very variable. They did have a lot of tears, dry spots, and variable from one and another. And therefore, he was advised treatment for 3 months, which he underwent. And then we did his topo scan again. So as you can see that the topo scans are fairly regularized, and there was a small change too. Now, this is his epithelial scan after 3 months, which seems much more regular. Now, at this point, you can take a decision to undergo refractive surgery or not. Now that we know the impact of dry eye on our measurements and thereby on our results, we have to plan for a treatment strategy for these patients. So when a patient with cataract comes with low vision to us, it is imperative to see if the dry eye related vision loss is simply because of, the vision loss is because of dry eye, or is it because of the cataract? We have to be more aggressive in our diagnosis and treatment, and sometimes even start a lubricant before surgery as a preventative measure. And differentiating the type of dry eye gives us a better treatment profile, and always set a set protocol. We have, if a patient comes, we know these are the things to do so that we don't really miss anything. There are many algorithms that you can use. This is a good one by Teofilm Ocular Surface Society, and so is this by the ASCRS Society. They are both very practical and can be used in our clinics. Lastly, can be divided as a basic one, something which is procedure related, and also other one requiring systemic medication. So we customize it in our clinic depending on the type and the severity of the dry eye. So my take home message is that seek and you shall find. Most of our patients do have dry eye. We can only diagnose it if we look for it, and glancing at the raw data can really make or break our measurement. So remember to look at that. And I think always better, everybody says so, to look at more than one machine to look at the same data. You will have a better picture. And if you find a dry eye patient, then wait, be patient, treat them, counsel them, and then you can do any kind of procedure. So I think that is the secret to a happy patient. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tanvi. It was a wonderful talk.